Namaste friends. Once again, I am Chandan Kumar Mishra, reconnecting with you with my further learnings from this online digital interface. I would like to put it forward for your review and understanding in this co-creative participatory learning process. I have written it on 30th July 2025. Sri Ganasaya Namah. Like recorded and uploaded my presentation on writing skill improvement and reference-based notes taking from regular meeting and assembly-based knowledge discussion and or broadcasted information. Then review of the presentation. Number 2 सरस्वती प्रेयर बिना बादनी ज्ञान की देवी अपनी कृपा बरसा देना मेरे सर पर हाथ रखो माँ जीवन सफल बना देना. Then I went for passbook updates related banking proceedings, visits and consultation to resolve disputes of in-laws, but none of the payment were received so far into my saving bank account with Bank of India. Then typed an article on aspects of description of security and its relevance for effective human resource management. Then reviewing United Nations YouTube channel at United Nations. Secretary General of United Nations urges for peaceful settlement of border disputes and protection of the humanitarian rights of the people in distress due to armed conflicts. He also advocated for immediate ceasefire declaration and enforcement of humanitarian services so that life of the people could be secured and protected from unwanted armed conflicts or from any kind of humanitarian crisis emerge due to the natural catastrophe or any kind of civil insurgencies so that life of the people could be protected in any circumstances through regular services by humanitarian service providers. World Health Organization Secretary General Tedros Adhanom urged for ceasefire followed by prompt delivery of essential life-saving commodities such as foods and healthcare products. Then Dr. Natalia Kennem expressed her decade-long experience with United Nations Population Fund. She promotes life cycle approach of population care. United Nations General Assembly organized peace prayer in remembrance of the victims of Srebrenica genocide. Then Delhi press briefing of 11th July 2025 by Stephen Dejeurik covers various topics for the day such as 30th anniversary of the genocide in Srebrenica and its remembrance events to pay homage for the peace of the survivors of the victims and the victims. Then resolution of the issues of occupied Palestinian territory were discussed. Syria was also discussed. Memorandum of Understanding between the United Nations and Russian Federation were finalized for peaceful dispute resolutions and availing humanitarian services to the affected community across the globe. Then he discussed about Haiti, then condemned the attack in Red Sea and Sudan, Central African Republic. World Population Day was celebrated and international days related question and answer were also answered by His Excellency. Key highlights were as follows, like challenges of commencement of the humanitarian relief related operation were reported. Independent investigation about causes of various kinds of humanitarian catastrophe were advocated. Then prompt and adequate financing for humanitarian relief-related operations and developmental diplomacy were requested from international financing agencies. Public-private partnership for research and innovation for sustainable development goals 2030 achievements and humanitarian challenges or problems resolutions were promoted. Multinational security support cooperation for Haiti was promoted. United Nations seeks attention of the disaster relief and rescue related service providers for relief services about reported requisitions. Then malnourishment related health crises are prevailing across various regions of the world. Thus, food security and production or increase oriented investigation and investment, agriculture and innovation is required. United Nations agencies could impanel and deploy agencies for improving food security of the world. Initiatives for sustainable and balanced global population development are encouraged. United Nations avails technical directions and coordination with technical and financial services providers to serve the needful person in association with concerned member nations. United Nations also facilitates for administrative clearance related issues for safe transport of goods and people across the geographical boundaries of the member nations. United Nations advocates for obedience of ethical values in governance for protection of the human rights of the global humanity and humanitarian society. United Nations Correspondent Association sincerely recognizes the problems and sufferings of the people and advocates with United Nations agencies to sincerely consider the concerns of the vulnerable groups, victims, and survivors of the victims to supply compensatory and relief oriented various kinds of humanitarian services on regular basis. Sustainable Development Goals Report 2025 was launched by Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, and Under Secretary General for Economic and Social Affairs Lee Junhua. Remarks on key highlights of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 2025 reports, like sufferings of the global humanitarian societies were acknowledged, relief camps for displaced and refugees are being carried out, evitability of the natural catastrophe was acknowledged, and relief-related ventures were endorsed. Peaceful and friendly relationship among member nations were promoted, and ceasefire declaration were encouraged. Disarmament-related activities were carried out. United agencies are promptly acknowledging the instances of eruption of the armed conflicts across the world and applying various kinds of bilateral, multilateral, and regional cooperation improvement related treaties and diplomatic ventures to assure resilience of peaceful world order. Food, healthcare, sanitation, livelihood, and employment related sufferings and challenges of the person staying in conflicted areas are being recognized and endorsed for adequate financial allocations for relief oriented humanitarian services delivery in continuity. You can also write your notes and you can present your presentations in your respective channel of presentation. United Nations entities acknowledges that scarcity of resources for meeting the essential life care needs such as food, nutrition, shelter, sanitation, healthcare, and livelihood causes civilian insurgencies. Thus, advocates for proper need estimation and resource allocation to serve the population in general with special attention towards the vulnerable and victims. Then initiatives for zero hunger, no poverty, healthcare, sustainable education, clean cities and rural settlements, clean water and environment, disaster resilient infrastructure development, conservation of life on land and beneath the water, environmental protection, conservation of biodiversity, care of climate change related disaster affected community, security, safe migration and repatriation of people from armed conflict or affected regions, or normal tourism or pilgrimage, developmental partnership for a strong and justful institutional operation are core areas of operation to achieve the proper return on investment ROI for sustainable development. Advocacy for proper recognition and classification of the activities and initiatives by person and organizations are also commenced through United Nations Correspondent Association. This emphasized on evidence-based arbitration, negotiation, judicial hearing, and consensus building dialogues among the parties for any issue of disputes to resolve the apple of discord properly before it ripens into burning issue. The respectful organization's behavior increases the efficiency and performance of the organization for quality production and satisfactory humanitarian services delivery. Representatives of the member nations of the United Nations General Assembly, United Nations Security Council, and other organs of the United Nations organizations of the UN agencies regularly reviews the global news, United Nations media brief, and speeches by distinguished and learned intellectuals and sincerely represents significant issues into the regular proceedings of the representation in respective entity. Note, a person should remain more interested in represented issues by another person rather into the person itself representing the issue for security purposes. Then I would continue onwards in my next presentation. In the meanwhile, thank you from Chandan Kumar Mishra.